Welcome to the Big Play Cleveland Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside Chris McNeil, Nick Padone here in studio. Shout out to producer Ryan. Cavs guys, they dropped their opener here in the Eastern Conference semifinals, but the Guardians have been rolling, won 5 out of their last 6, and it looks like Brown's rookie minicamp is this week. Plenty to chat about on our show. How about you guys? How was your weekend?
Good weekend. I went and saw Thunderbolts, which is the new Marvel movie, which is pretty good. People told me it was really hilarious and kind of next level for Marvel. I thought it was just okay, but the kids enjoyed it, so it's always nice to get out of the house when it's raining all the time, which it has been pretty much all this spring. But yeah, outside of the Cavs unfortunately losing, it was a pretty good weekend for me and the McNeil clan.
When am I going to be able to cut the grass, guys? Like, it is nothing but rain. If I tried cutting the grass, that would be the last time that I would cut the grass this entire year, because it would just turn my entire yard into a mud pool. It is just, am I going to have to build the ark? What's going on here?
Welcome to the joys of home ownership, Nick.
It has just been nonstop rain. It's nonstop mud. My poor little fluffy dog has been
lost.
You can't even see Bo in this fog.
Excruciating week with the fog and the rain and the mud. It's been a mess.
Yeah, the fog was definitely intense on the way in. And actually here at Burke Lakefront Airport, you can like barely make out the planes out there of our big windows in our studio. It's kind of eerie, actually.
It's mysterious, as mysterious the Game 1 loss was for our Cavs. The outside is matching it. I feel so far away from you guys, too, by the way.
I know. We have a slightly different setup today, and Nick is usually right next to me, and he's kind of wee over there.
I'm on my own island over here.
Sitting there on the garage beer throne.
Yeah. He's in the dunce chair. Just kidding.
I said this is going to be the chair that they put me in timeout. When I get too excited about the Browns this year, I'm coming down here.
Oh, that's funny. The timeout chair. Hey, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with our Cleveland headlines right after this. The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, the lowest pricing, and same hometown level of service. Visit fairwayfordohio.com today. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. It's time for our Cleveland headlines brought to you by Fairway Ford.
Fairway Ford offers complete customization for any vehicle on the lot with their Fairway Black Label line. This series features custom upgrades like premium wheel and tire packages, a wide variety of level or lift kits, performance enhancements, and fully customized interior options. And every Fairway Black Label truck comes with a Rhino spray-in bed liner. Whether you are looking for an aggressive off-road stance, a bold street presence, or a one-of-a-kind build, Fairway Black Label delivers. As a bonus, many of these upgrades can be financed for as low as 0% APR. Depending upon the vehicle line. You dream it, they can build it. Visit fairwayfordohio.com to explore their current Black Label inventory or give them a call to start designing yours today.
Okay, gang, Cavs fall a little short versus the Pacers at home in Game 1 to kick off this Eastern Conference semifinals. It was just a little bit of an odd game, in my opinion, just being there and watching some of the shots and some of the defense. Pacers just couldn't miss, plain and simple. They were shooting 53% from the field, 52% from 3. Yeah. And meanwhile, Cavs, we were like 9 of 38 from 3 and just maybe some forced shots and whatnot. What are the biggest adjustments you'd like Kenny Atkinson to make for Game 2?
Well, number one for me, it'd be nice to get Darius Garland back with that toe injury. You know, leading into this series, we had heard, okay, he's coming along, he's progressing, it sounds good, I think he's going to be good to go, and then we find out, you know, Sunday afternoon, it looks like Darius Garland's going to be out, and then there were rumors that this may be more serious than what we had thought. So that really concerns me. That Cavs team without Darius Garland is very clearly a different Cavs team than what we had the rest of the season. So for me, the biggest adjustment will be hopefully he's going to be back on Tuesday or later on in this series.
The DG haters got their wish, man. So many people were being so loud about the fact that the Cavs are better without Darius Garland. Ty Jerome runs the offense better. He's a little bit bigger. He's a better defender. All that noise was so loud during the second half of that Miami Heat series. The DG haters got their wish, and the Cavs got flat out beat in Game 1. They looked out physical. Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter said after the game that the Pacers were more physical than the Cavs, and you missed DG's shooting. The fact that the Cavs only made 9 threes in Game 1, that's the least amount of threes that they made all year long. 82 regular season games, 4 postseason games against the Miami Heat, 9 threes. That's the least amount that they've made this entire time. They miss DG so much, and I hope that he could play at some point in this series. It is disheartening, though, to hear, on the broadcast saying that if this was the regular season, he would be out 2 to 3 weeks. So obviously he's going to try to get back and play, but that toe must seriously be messed up.
And I'll tell you, that physical aspect of the game really concerns me as well. You brought it up there, Nick. The fact that they were manhandling us on the court, which we should have an advantage over the Pacers when it comes to physicality. You saw before the game, Evan Mobley getting his Defensive Player of the Year. Shout out Evan Mobley on that. But we should be able to manhandle this team a lot more than what we did. And then not only to lose on that end, but also the pacing of this game. They controlled the tempo. We did not at all throughout this game. So that's something that we've also got to see improve in Game 2 and throughout this series if we have any kind of a shot.
I put my teaser out there for my hot take adjustment that I had on the show. Are we
Here we go. Let's go.
There? I don't know that this is a too big type of series, just because the Indiana Pacers are so fast. Kenny Atkinson said before the series that this is a track meet. You got to put your track shoes on for this thing. Jared Allen remains the weak link of the core four. And I think Tyrese Halliburton had his way with Jared Allen during the regular season when these two teams matched up. We certainly saw it down the stretch in the fourth quarter where Jared Allen was getting boxed out by guys who were smaller than him. He wasn't even running back defensively. The Indiana Pacers, it felt like to me, just had Jared Allen in a little bit of a trick box. It's nothing against JA. Obviously, everybody loves him. But come playoff time, when it's these best-of-7 series, when teams are making adjustments and truly going at the flaws of your roster, Jared Allen was exposed there in the fourth quarter. And obviously, I'm not saying that it's time for the Cavs to bench Jared Allen. I think you have to start Mobley and Allen together because that's your best chance of neutralizing the bigs that Indy has in Siakam and Miles Turner. But mid-game, an in-game adjustment for Kenny Atkinson is probably going to be to pull off Jared Allen. There's usually, and that's common in the playoffs. There's playoff risers and playoff fallers. Jared Allen is just a playoff faller, similar to the way Kevin Love was during the 4 straight battles with Golden State. Just miserable matchups for Kevin Love. That's what we've got on our hands here with Indiana, and it might be the time to do that now because something tells me the Boston series might be just as difficult for him.
I think he gets a little bit more exposed too when we fight for those second chance opportunities, and then they're quickly in transition defense. So now the bigs are like hustling to get to the other end of the floor. So like it gets a little exposed, but we solve that by just making more shots.
And Halliburton, Jared Allen trying to guard Halliburton just isn't going to work in this lifetime or the next. Like it's just way too easy. And it's a matchup that the Pacers are going to continue to hunt because they know that's barbecue chicken. When it's Jared Allen out there on Tyrese Halliburton, he has no chance of shutting that down. Halliburton is too athletic, too fast, too good of a shooter. So I think that's going to be a tough in-game adjustment for Kenny Atkinson because Jared Allen has been so good all year. He's been so important to this team's success. You would think playoff times when you need him the most, but truly it might be time to go in a different direction and play some small ball against the Pacers.
It's also going to be an interesting test for Kenny Atkinson. You talked about having to make adjustments. We talked about it this season. Didn't have a lot of opportunities to overcome adversity, and this is the first time that we're hitting it. We knew it would happen at some point in this playoffs, and it has happened here in this Pacers series. So it'll be interesting to see what Kenny Atkinson does to adjust and how this team can bounce back from, a big loss at home. Let's be frank about it.
Game 2 tomorrow night as of shooting the show, Tuesday night at Rocket Arena, 7 p.m. Let's bounce back, Cavs. All right, the Guardians, we keep on rolling. Guards have won 5 of their last 6 games. They've got the 3rd best record in the AL, game and a half behind Detroit in the Central. How scared were you when Jose went down?
Yeah, I was watching that game live and seeing him get hit by the ball and then realizing it really had nothing to do with the ball because he tripped over the bag very awkwardly and then landed. And you think, oh, no. With our offense struggling as much as it is to have a guy like that obviously go down, that would just be killer. And then yesterday, of course, he's back in the lineup, back at third base, and he catches one right in the crotch. So it was kind of a tough weekend there for Jose Ramirez, but good to see him back on the field. He seems to be okay. He's got to be better defensively, Nick, than what we've seen so far out out of. Got to hit a little bit more, but it's early in the season. There's plenty of time, and I'm glad that he's not injured for any extended amount of time here.
Still super early in this Guardian season. Obviously, we'll talk more guards with Jensen, but I was glad to see that ankle injury was just a mild sprain, and he was able to be in the lineup the next day, because I think everybody in Cleveland had a collective skipped heartbeat when we saw that happen.
And we're pulling victories from the jaws of defeat here. It's been amazing. Talk about pulling some rabbits out of a hat. This team has been up and down, and ultimately in one-run games, what are we, like 8-1 or something insane like that, leading all of baseball? So it's been a nice ride right now. I don't know if it could sustain my nerves throughout the entire season, but as long as we're winning, just keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully some of these positions like starting pitching and some of our offensive woes, and even out of the bullpen, saw it again yesterday with Emmanuel Clase. Hopefully that begins to stabilize and we see a little bit more comfortable victories as we keep on going. But hey, win right now, make it so you're not playing yourself out of the playoffs, and that's exactly what the Guardians are doing.
Emmanuel Clase, 4-0 with 6 saves. Some are saying he belongs back in that American League Cy Young conversation yet again. Just kidding.
Speaking of pulling out of a hat here, how about Daniel Schneemann against Toronto? He had the solo home run in the 8th inning, then comes back in the 9th. 2 outs in the 9th. We're trailing by 1. He's the only one with our only run. And putting on that grand slam. I love watching this kid play. Were you guys excited about that? I was like, here we go, Schnee.
You get those afternoon games, too, on the weekend where you kind of got him on in the background and you're like already resigned yourself. We're going to lose this ball game. And then all of a sudden you get a play like that. You hear Tom Hamilton. And his call on this one was particularly great. I tell you, it felt like a playoff call of it, even though it's a game here in May. So it was a lot of fun. Schneemann, obviously, that's the first time that he's done anything like that, hit a walk-off grand slam. Joined some great company up there, for Guardians that have done this, then Indians at the time. Guys like Albert Bell are on that list. Guys like Travis Hafner are on that list. So it's really cool to see and really a fun spot in the beginning of this season.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Smart Choice Windows, energy-efficient products at an affordable price. Visit smartchoicewindows.com today.
Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. It is time for our very special guest interview. We're welcoming in studio 4-time All-Star, first-team All-NBA point guard. It's Cleveland Cavaliers legend Mark Price. Thanks for coming in studio, Mark.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
We'll say this right off the top. Your technique for the sword pull was excellent. However, I don't know, do we blame you for a little bit of the juju being awry?
Hey, I don't know. I look at it too. I did my part.
You did your part.
I got them juiced, man. But if they need somebody to take the fall, I'll be happily take it. So get it off those guys so they can come back and get a win tomorrow.
Look at Mark, still leading from in front, taking the blame for the guys.
Talk about the energy in that stadium. You're out there, you pull the sword, you get everybody hyped up. Does it kind of bring you back to your playoff days back in the 90s?
Oh, yeah. Now, we didn't have quite as much pomp and circumstance back in our day, as they do now.
Richfield Coliseum. It was still hopping. I was there.
But it was hopping, and, it was so much fun to just actually be down on the court, when that's happening. I'm usually up watching from where everybody else is now. But it did bring back a lot of memories. Playoff vibes are the best.
Mark, we expected the Pacers to be quick, but just from your standpoint last night and seeing the game in real time, what do you think our problem was just from our shooting consistency? We're 9 of 38 from 3, for example.
Well, I think 2 things worried me a little bit going into the Pacers. One, that we'd been off a week. Anybody that's played, and obviously I played at that level, rhythm and being in a rhythm is so important. And the Cavs having almost a week off, it concerned me. Would there be a little bit of rust? And it did show, I think, a little bit early on in that game. And then, 2, I think, just the Pacers, the thing concerned, they're one of the few teams in the league that can score with the Cavs. And they showed that last night, that they have the ability. And they kind of looked like the Cavs last night, the way they moved the ball and shared the ball and shot the threes. And the Cavs didn't quite look like the Cavs of all season last night. They just seemed a little bit off.
Yeah, that's so funny. I was saying post-game, I'm like, they looked like how we are. Like, they're doing what we do. They get, like, the Spider-Man meme. So what do you think the biggest adjustments that need to be made should be happening for game 2?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things in play right now. Obviously, the big one out there is Darius Garland.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows kind of totally what his situation is. Does he play? Does he not play? If Darius plays, it changes, everything, kind of puts all the pieces back. You look at the chessboard, puts them back in the right place. If he doesn't, then they got to kind of figure out that rotation, and I think it just felt a little off last night. Some guys starting that don't usually start, and playing from a different perspective. And I know they're pros and everything else, but that does come into play when you're used to maybe coming off the bench and playing against second team guys rather than stepping up now and you're having to play starters. And so that kind of affects the rotation. But more than that, I think the Cavs will shoot the ball better. Ultimately the game came down to the Pacers shooting over 50% from the 3-point line versus the Cavs 20-something%. You can kind of dial it. They made shots we didn't, but I think the way they played allows you to shoot the ball better too. And so hopefully the Cavs will get back to moving the ball. A lot of guys touching it, finding the open guy, and then shooting the ball in rhythm.
Mark, you've obviously won playoff series after being down before. What mindset shift has to happen when you find yourself in a 0-1 hole, or is there no mindset shift at all and you just go out there and play your game?
No, I think there is a mind shift, and you hear the word adjustments a lot when you get to playoff basketball, and now they're playing from a sense of urgency a little bit more. Things maybe up to this point, the Miami series has been a little too easy, and now all of a sudden reality smacks you in the face a little bit that, hey, this series is going to be tougher, and now we got to step it up.
As an all-star guard yourself, there's been just this weird segment of Cavs fans that think that the Cavs might be better without Darius Garland. Obviously, game 1 might have been a wake-up call. What do you say about that?
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, that's just silly. The guy's a 2-time All-Star, and he's an absolutely great player. And like I said, even more than that, it keeps everybody in their roles that they need to be in. You take a piece like that out. Ty Jerome has been unbelievable this year, but do you really want Ty kind of taking 20 shots every game and not moving the ball around? That's really not where he's effective. He's coming in being a game changer and changing the course of the game, and just puts everybody in different roles. And so obviously getting Darius back will be huge. But until then, the Cavs got to figure out a way to get this rotation to where it works better than it did last night.
You mentioned Ty Jerome. He was very close to a Mark Price record. And I don't know if you know this, the 50-40-90 club. You are one of only 9 players in the NBA who've ever shot 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and then 90%. And in your case, it must have been darn near 100% from the line.
Well, yeah, and at the time, I think Larry Bird was the only guy that had done it. So I was number 2. But yeah, actually, there was 2 Cavs. Darius was kind of on that path early on in the season, and then Ty was as well. But I think it just goes to show how hard it is to do that over the course of 82 games.
Yeah, first of all, you got to be healthy enough to play.
I was going to ask you, watching all the broadcasts with Brad Daugherty on there now, I don't know if you know this, he gives you a hard time an awful lot on the broadcast, saying that if he passes the ball out to Mark Price, it wasn't coming back in. Do you have any response to Brad on that one?
Well, Brad knows better. Brad knows better. But I do tell him this. I said, well, you can say that now, but if we played today, I certainly wouldn't be passing you the ball.
That is funny. Mark, playing at the high level that you have and being in scenarios like this, how important is the team energy and, I don't want to say camaraderie, but their energy and their vibe after a loss like this? I noticed that in the locker room last night, vibes were still kind of not high. You take a loss, but nobody's yelling at each other, barking, or bringing the energy down. How instrumental is that to be able to bounce back?
Oh, totally. This Cavs team has been together. They got great relationship with each other. They don't have any locker room issues whatsoever, and so they know as a group that they didn't play as well as they can, and as a group they got to do that. And that's the way they're approaching it and pulling each other up. And, that's how our group was. We had a bunch of really good guys. We had a great locker room. And so there were certain nights it just didn't work. And then you kind of have to have a short memory and let that go and say, let's get back to doing what we do and come out and win game 2.
You guys also had a fantastic coach in Lenny Wilkins. Talk about Kenny Atkinson and what he's done for the team this year, especially as a rookie coach.
Yeah, it's been amazing to watch because, your new coach comes in. Sometimes you feel like it takes a little time to kind of get things grooving, but I mean, they shot out of the gate 15-0 this year, and just kind of kept going. He's done a great job of managing minutes for guys over the course of the year, understanding how important health is at the end of the season. And yet they still got a little bit banged up with Darius here at the end, so that's how important that is. But somehow, some way, he unlocked every single player on that team to play to their best of their ability, particularly offensively. I mean, they had one of the best offensive ratings and seasons in NBA history, this year, and just seemed like everybody played. And he showed early on, and I think that was key as well to his bench and guys coming in, that you guys are important and you're going to be playing a lot and you're going to matter. And those guys bought in, and everybody, I mean, it's like when the starters came out and the guys came in, it just kept going. Mm-hmm. And it's been that way most of the season. So they got to lean on what they've done all year long. I know last night was disappointing for everybody. It always is. Mm-hmm. No one likes to lose, but ultimately you got to win 4 games. And the Cavs, I still think, are the better team. And if they play the way they're capable, they'll win this series.
What do you miss most about playing playoff basketball?
Yeah, it's hard to explain. Just playing in the NBA is awesome in itself, getting that opportunity. But just unless you've played in the playoffs, you don't really know what it's all about. It's just so fun. It's so intense. I mean, it's that kind of, during the regular season when you play 82 games, the wins and losses kind of get skewed a little bit. But when it's about, hey, win or go home, it ratchets everything up to a whole new level, and that's what's fun about the playoffs.
Mark, how cool is it for you to see a guy like Donovan Mitchell, who, as a Cavs legend yourself, is really becoming this generation's Mark Price in real time?
Well, Donovan's great. I mean, he's an unbelievable player. If he's not first team All NBA this year, I'll be very upset. He's just not only how good of a player he is, but the thing I love is how he's taken on the leadership role. His first year or two in Cleveland, you could tell he was trying to figure things out that way. But, this year in particular, he's stepped up in some ways by realizing he has so much more weapons around him that he can step back a little bit and be even better player. And I think we saw that. It wasn't, so many games in the last couple years, you kind of waited for him to kind of carry the Cavs over the finish line. And this year he hasn't had to do that. There'll be times where he has to, early on in the series against, it was, the first round there playing against Miami, the one game that was close, Donovan hit 2 or 3 down the stretch that just iced it. So his ability to close games, but I think his ability to really bring his teammates along, and he's by far, the leader of this team, and it's been fun to watch.
We're looking forward to Game 2. Mark Price, thank you so much for coming in studio. We appreciate your time and your insights.
Before we let him go, you have some camps coming up here in the area, right, over the summer?
We do. You can go to markpricecamps.com. We're in 7 places here in the Northeast Ohio area.
It's like Hilliard, North Ridgeville, over to Brecksville, Avon Lake, Medina, over to Bath. So several locations up here in Northeast Ohio.
And then one up in Columbus area, Hilliard. There's a camp up there. So, we're excited. Started out with one camp about a few years ago, and it's just kind of morphed into more. They're exciting, and I take my camp seriously, too. I'm there the whole time. I'm teaching kids the same fundamentals that helped me become a good basketball player. So I'll give you the tools. Then you got to take them and work with them.
Teach them how to split the double team?
We don't get there quite yet. Got to walk before you can run.
Mark,
so make those free throws.
Keep our guy Roth out of trouble too in Legends Corner before Game 2, 5:30 at Rocket Arena. Hang out with Roth and keep him on the straight and narrow. We know sometimes he likes to get excited. He does a show out of here, and it's usually Ryan that has to keep him in check. So
Roth is a good guy, and Legends Corner, come see us. My guy Larry Nance will be there with me tomorrow night, and we have a good time interacting with the fans.
Thank you so much. And keep up the great work with those camps. Be sure to sign up. And follow this guy on X, Mark Price. Thanks so much for coming in.
My pleasure. Always fun to be here.
Thanks, Mark.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Infinity. Luxury experiences for those who dare to be different. Visit infinityofbeechwood.com today.
Welcome back into the Big Play Cleveland Show. It's time for our Bringing the Heat segment presented to you guys by our friends over at Northeast Factory Direct. The weather is finally warming up. It's been rainy all week, but patio season is going to be here when that weather dries. Don't waste these beautiful summer days ahead by sitting inside. You want to be outside. You don't want to be on your old, worn-out furniture or waiting weeks for some fancy schmancy online order to show up. Go to Northeast Factory Direct today. They have high quality patio furniture in stock, ready to go for you to take home right now. We're talking outdoor sectionals, UV resistant, all weather wicker sunbrella performance fabrics, dining sets, the whole nine. You could check them out in store, Cleveland, Euclid, Macedonia, North Canton. You could start the selection search online at northeastfactorydirect.com. But when you check them out in store, you're getting ready to check out, ask for that extra special Big Play bonus. You're going to get a special hookup on your patio furniture this spring. It is time for Bringing the Heat with Jensen Lewis. Jensen, all of our hearts skipped a beat when we saw Jose Ramirez trip over first base or whatever happened there. Were you as worried as the rest of us are when you saw that highlight?
I think just in real time, I can understand why people were feeling that trepidation, no question about it. But to see him kind of get up and move under his own power a little bit gave you at least a little bit of a better indication he'd be okay. But yeah, face of the franchise, heart and soul of the group. Never, ever want to see Jose go crumple down like that.
Speaking of injuries, yesterday we saw Tanner Bybee come out of the game for leg cramps. Seemingly he's going to be okay. He's had these before in the past. Is that anything to be worried about?
I would hope not, Chris, and to know that his next start lined up against a really good Philadelphia Philly team coming up this weekend when the team returns home. You hope he's able to go. And yeah, just one of those weird things, right? Yeah, just for whatever reason, it's been a recurring issue, but sounds like at least all indications are he'll make his next start.
Is that something you ever dealt with, Jensen? Is that a common thing, or how often does that usually happen?
Yeah, honestly, to each their own, Gab. I think there's certain guys that just let's hope it's not a Chipotle thing again. Otherwise, we're going to have an issue here. You don't think north of the border that'd be a problem, but at any rate, yeah, there just are certain instances of where guys have these weird things that happen to them. There's no rhyme or reason, but for me personally, I fortunately didn't have to go through any of that.
Maybe it was Tim Hortons this time.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got to make sure he's putting a little salt in his water. That's what I was told. Okay, speaking of injuries, though, how about any updates? How about for Bieber, Stefan, Fry? Is anything come your way?
Yeah, Gab, honestly, it feels like they're on the right track and maybe some acceleration for a handful of those guys. And really, if you look at just, it feels like a laundry list on the pitching side of guys. Imagine what it's going to look like when you get a host of those relievers back and also some of the reinforcements in the rotation. And it may almost feel like this club is making mini trades throughout the next month or two, and where you get guys coming back, you get guys in positions where they can really improve the ball club. All that being said, is it remarkable to you guys to look up and say, okay, at the beginning of the week, you're just a handful of games behind Detroit, who has played out of their mind. And you have yet to, first of all, hit your stride from a rotation standpoint. I mean, statistically, they've been in the bottom third, the Guardians have, in most of the major categories all season. And to be where they are entering the week, 6 games above 500, and yet to really be hitting on all cylinders, I think that is a major thing to keep at least track of here in the next couple of weeks as far as the standings go.
So Daniel Schneemann had Guards Twitter in a chokehold really all weekend. Everybody, going nuts for that 9th inning grand slam. But what have you seen out of Schneemann this entire year, regardless of this Linsanity run weekend that he went on?
That's a great comp, Linsanity. I love that, Nick. That's really good. Also, rest in peace to anyone who had the Blue Jays on the run line, -1.5, headed into that 9th inning. Yikes, that's a tough beat. I think for Schneemann, and guys, we've kind of seen it the last year or two where he's taken advantage of opportunities. He has made adjustments. And for a guy that is basically a jack of all trades, he can play infield, he can play outfield, he can hit, pretty much wherever you need to plug him in the order. I'm not saying he's a middle of the order bat by any stretch, but to have that versatility, as it feels like the DNA of a Stephen Vogt managed club. It's just the way that he wants to use guys, the way he wants to ride some of the highs here. I mean, you just look at where he's played. He's played second base. He's played center field. He's probably going to be asked to do a couple of other things until they get a good sense of where those platoon advantages are. But you can't deny it. What 20th highest player as far as Fangraphs' rankings go in this past week. 20th best position player in Major League Baseball. That tells you all you need to know for a guy who played 6 out of those 7 days.
So I'm watching that game on Saturday, assuming that's going to be one of those normal games where it's okay, nothing's going to happen. We're just going to lose this one. There's 162 games. That's okay. Kind of resign yourself that way. Then all of a sudden he hits that blast. What as players, do you ever have that mentality when you're sitting there going, okay, we'll get them tomorrow? Or do you always assume, hey, we still got 2 outs. We still got 1 left. So there's always a chance we can win this ball game.
And it's a great question, Chris, because it feels incumbent upon this group where they don't feel they're ever out of it and they play right through the 27th out or having to play longer than that. So not a shock whatsoever that this was kind of a guard's ball at bat, if you will, in a situation in which another guy rises to the occasion and makes a critical swing. I mean, Chris, you can even parlay off that momentum, kind of, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, landing the roundhouse punch, and have that carry momentum into the series finale, which ultimately won them the series. So yeah, absolutely. For players, you come in the locker room after the game, like, all right, we stole one. And then you had the bigger picture item, which I think it bears repeating. Guys, we've talked about this all the time. Games in April and May count the same in August, September. So the less you got to make up down the stretch when you're tired and fatigued, you may look back at this series victory because of how well Toronto has played, at least to this point, and say, hey, that's a series win that may end up coming back to be crucial down the stretch.
Jensen, the Guardians had 2 walk-off wins against the Twins in their series. Why do you think they're just lacking in against the Twins? Is this just what it's like to have your AL Central foe? There was that famous line, Dick Bremer from the Twins saying, I think we've had enough of the Cleveland Guardians when they got walked off a couple years ago. What do you think? We just bring it for them?
I'll never forget, Gab, watching it from center field when Andres Jimenez, he knew he got it. He kissed the barrel of the bat. He does the cartwheel bat flip. And yes, I think we led the next day on Guardians Live with, I think we've seen enough of the Cleveland Guardians. It's remarkable when you have because I can remember we played Kansas City gave us fits. It didn't matter kind of what stretch they were in. It felt like every game was coming down to the final couple innings. It was always tight. Detroit had the great rotations of Verlander, Scherzer, David Price, Rick Porcello when he won the Cy Young. Minnesota, if you guys remember, had Yohan Santana and Francisco Liriano, and they were just unbelievably hard to hit. So in the history of the American League Central, there's always been these iterations of teams that give the Guardians fits. But conversely now, they've been able to turn the trick, and especially in the Tito years, and now already with Stephen Vogt, you catch teams at the right time too. I think that's what they did with Minnesota. But again, you got to win these divisional games knowing you only get 13 matchups apiece.
Jensen Lewis, bringing the heat. Thanks so much for your time and your insights. We'll see you again next week.
You bet.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Garage Beer. No bitterness, no frills, no IPA, just beer-flavored beer. Find local retailers who sell garage beer near you by visiting drinkgaragebeer.com.
Welcome on back into the Big Play Cleveland Show presented by Garage Beer. It's time for our weekly chat, fresh off a 12th-place finish in Texas with NASCAR Cup driver for the number 10 Colleague Racing Chevy, Mr. Ty Dillon. Ty drives for your Northeast Ohio's own Matt Colleague, who fields 3 teams in the Xfinity Series, 2 teams in the NASCAR Cup Series. Ty, thanks so much for joining us, and got a little bit of a different backdrop going on today on the show.
Yep, we our times got adjusted. Usually on Monday is our simulation day for our race team at Colleague Racing. So what we do is we drive up here to Concord, North Carolina. GM has a large facility here with a few full race car simulators that we plug in our simulation programs from our computer that we run thousands of variations of setups on with thousands of variations of circumstances. We bring them here to a big room that's got pretty much a full race car that I strap into a real seat in, and I race around whatever track we're going to be going to in the upcoming week. So right now, I'm actually working on 4 racetracks. We're starting with Kansas, that's coming up this weekend. Working on North Wilkesboro, which is the All-Star race coming up. Then we're going to Charlotte, and then we're going to finish today with Nashville. So kind of doing some preemptive work, but yeah, having a little fun. This is kind of our normal work week for us. We race on Sunday, kind of get to the simulator Monday, work on the next week, have our meetings this afternoon, and then I have a couple days off to kind of recover my body, and then we hit the road off to the next one.
All right, we'll get to Kansas in a second because I know you're doing some good sim homework there in the simulator, but we got to talk about that 12th place finish this past weekend at Texas Motor Speedway. Best finish of the season. I know it was such a roller coaster, up and down day. Talk about what it meant to get that best finish of the season after such a crazy day.
Yeah, and then coming off of Talladega last week where we were probably going to finish in the top 5 and run out of gas. So we just had such roller coaster of emotions the last 2 weeks. And even yesterday, we had moments where we were running inside the top 15 and top 20, and we'd have a mistake on pit road or was knocked out of the way by Brad Keselowski on a restart near the end of the race and took us from being, I think we were 11th or 12th at that point, then fell all the way back to 25th or 26th. And to battle our way back, kind of had a real epic restart at the end to pass 6 cars, which I don't know, for those who don't watch a whole lot of NASCAR, to do that in 1.5 laps is pretty awesome. So we were pumped. I posted it on my Instagram. NASCAR does an awesome job of putting in-car cameras in every single car, which is a fun way to follow. You can follow it on the HBO Max app, where you can follow me directly inside the car. You can hear the radio transactions through the whole race. You can actually go back during the week and rewatch those runs too. So it's cool to go back. I posted it on there so people can see the last lap and hear our emotion. We get quite colorful with our language, but we're putting it all out on the line there. And when you have a good moment, it always feels good to carry that into another weekend.
Yeah, and it was obviously awesome to see you just picking off cars there the whole weekend and the whole afternoon on Sunday. All right, let's pivot now. Kansas Speedway this upcoming weekend. Last season, I know that was one of the tracks where Ty drove for Colleague, and then you finished the race 21st. You've got a lot of experience, though, at Kansas Speedway. Tell me a little bit about what you're going to put into practice this week.
Yeah, I think it's just building off of what we did last week. We were really strong, and each week you just try to add another 5% more to our program, just try to get a little bit better, and we turn that top 12 into a top 8, top 5. And honestly, when you're running inside the top 10 in the Cup Series, you have a chance to win. So we're knocking on that door. Both AJ and I have had great runs week in and week out, so we're just trying to fine-tune, just find a little bit more speed each week. It's not like we're having to throw Hail Marys at it. We're right there. It's just a few more execution points for both our teams that are going to give us a shot to get in victory lane at one of these tracks soon. So hopefully it's next week. If not, we're just going to keep grinding on the grindstone here, doing our simulator work and putting all the effort in. Everybody in our Cup shop has done an immaculate job of turning our program around from where it was last year when I made one of my starts here at Kansas, and that was a decent day for us last year. But this year, that's our goal is to be better than we were, and almost every race this year, I think both cars have been so far. So we're going to go with high expectations and go out and try to continue this run of solid finishes for our team.
Ty, I'm going to let you hop back in the sim. Before I do, I have to ask, how realistic is the simulator? Is it like an arcade video game, or is this thing pretty damn real?
It is as real as it can get without the pain of contacting the wall. So you're not as your adrenaline's not pumping as much, but it is incredible to see. This thing is full motion. It rises up in the air. It's got airbags in the seat and the seat belts to simulate G-force loads, and it does so many incredible things. And you can feel all the way down to small little bumps. You can feel seam changes in a racetrack from concrete to a seam where they might have patched it. Everything is so realistic, and so that's why we trust these things. We don't get much time to practice, so this is our practice, and this puts us on the right foot when we unload at the racetrack.
Colleague Racing's NASCAR Cup driver Ty Dillon joining us from the simulator during his break. Go show him some love on social media at Ty Dillon. Follow Colleague Racing as well at Colleague Racing. Ty, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to hop back on the Big Play Cleveland Show after a phenomenal weekend. Congrats again.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. Hopefully, we'll have another one to talk about next week.
For sure. Let's keep the streak alive. Go follow him, Ty Dillon. We'll be back next week.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Pure AV, luxury home automation. Experience your dream smart home by visiting pureavcorp.com. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. It's time for our Fill in the Blank segment brought to you by our friends at Pure AV. Pure AV specializes in sales, service, and installation of a variety of smart home technologies. They do it all, really. They can help you get your perfect sports watching setup with their high-performance audio and video displays. They even offer hidden audio and video options that allow you to keep a clean, elegant interior without sacrificing your favorite technology. Pure AV can set you up with invisible architectural speakers that are hidden in your walls and ceilings, as well as disappearing TVs that vanish behind art or mirrors. Visit pureavcorp.com to see everything that they offer for your home.
We watched the NFL draft in that showroom.
That looked pretty sweet.
I mean, I wish that place was just my house. I could just live up there. Go check them out in Akron. It was such a fun time.
I'd love to watch some Guardians and a Daniel Schneemann Grand Slam.
In there. Yeah, with some of those speakers to hear Hammy's call would be unreal.
Blank is the Guardians player I want up to bat in a clutch situation.
I'll go with the OG on this one. I'm going to go with Jose Ramirez. I know that he's been struggling a little bit at the plate and really hasn't gotten it going yet, but my confidence is he will get that going by the end of this season, and he's playoff tested. So if we're in a pinch, I want Jose Ramirez.
My answer is Jose Ramirez as well, but in order to not make this segment boring, I'll go with Kyle Manzardo.
Yeah,
already 2 walk-offs this year, 1 off Clevenger, who could forget. Aniel Martinez, I think, could also be a candidate for this, as that walk-off against the Twins was a lot of fun. You had Jose Ramirez do the wrist-up celebration after that. I know there was some scuttlebutt online. Was that a Shador Sanders thing?
Was
that a
thing.
chess club thing? Okay, chess club, sure.
How about blank is going to be the key to the rest of the Cavs-Pacers series?
I said it before, Darius Garland. I think it's going to be very important for him to get back. I think we could still win this series without him, but boy, we look like a different team when we've got him out there on the court.
I'm going to say it's on whoever is slowing down Tyrese Halliburton, because you can't have Halliburton both scoring and getting his teammates involved the same way that he did in game 1. So let's go with the Cavs backcourt versus Tyrese Halliburton. Has to show up. The Cavs guards have to be better than him. He's really good. He's battle tested also. The Pacers made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. You got to find a way to slow down Halliburton.
Barring that we don't have Darius Garland, I'm going to need Ty Jerome to be 100, like just lock in and hit all those shots. Because there was a couple moments I was like, he could change this game right now. Actually, there's a couple with Donovan too, and it was just like you couldn't get him to fall.
And Strus defensively, he had a couple of nice plays that kept us in that thing. I thought we were going to come back after that last Cavalanche. I thought, here we go. We've got the fans behind us. We've got the momentum. This is your typical Cavalanche. We're going to roll now, and it just didn't happen.
Besides the Cavs, blank is the team that I'm most invested in from a playoff series.
I'll tell you what, I'm keeping my eyes on my own paper on this one. I'm not cheating a whole lot. I had already circled right now that New York, Boston, but I don't care. I am so concerned right now about what the Cavs get done in this series that I'm not looking around too much. I don't want the basketball gods to think that I've already made any assumptions out there. Cavs need to get it done. I'm not looking at anybody else.
The Celtics guys are minus 900 to beat the New York Knicks in that other Eastern Conference series. So I'm going to go with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors. It'll be fun to see if Anthony Edwards could end another legacy and go after Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler next. Obviously, we saw him take down LeBron James and Luka in round 1. Anthony Edwards has turned into one of the must-watch NBA stars that the league has right now. So I'll be watching that West Coast Minnesota Timberwolves versus Golden State Warriors.
Those have been fairly interesting. I'll tell you what, the Warriors coming back then to beat Houston after Houston won a couple of ball games. Steph kind of finding a little bit of the fountain of youth there, kind of reinvigorated. It kind of hurts me to say that as a Cavs fan, but that'll be a good series.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting. I don't know if it's just that the games are more accessible, they're on more, but, you know, I was out to eat and I was just catching some of the other games. And I also like watching Golden State because, I don't know, you look at greatness. I've never gotten a chance to really slow down and watch too many Golden State games. So I hate to say it because, you know, it's the Warriors, but it's still fun to watch these guys later in their career still being dominant.
It is. I really do, Gab, to that point. I wish that the Cavs and the Warriors didn't have those, like, 4 straight years where we hated them so much, because Steph Curry truly is one of the great players of this generation. And I spent most of his career absolutely despising him. So I hope that a Cavs finals matchup wouldn't be Golden State, because I have grown, like you, I've grown to really appreciate Steph and the Warriors and kind of the sunset portion of Curry's career here.
Right.
How big of you people, not me. I hope if they make it to the finals, I hope we just completely bury them.
Well, obviously.
Of course, of course. Yeah.
Forget about him being a kid from Akron. Forget about Steph. I don't care. I want to bury the Warriors if they get there.
We're with you, McNeil. Don't worry. Now that the draft dust has settled, blank is the one move I still want to see the Browns make this offseason.
One move? Are we like one move away? Does anybody really believe that? We got holes all over the place. We still need to address the offensive line, I believe. We still need wide receivers. Who the heck are all these quarterbacks that we've got going to throw the ball to? So I have a lot of concerns going into training camp. It's going to be very interesting to see how everything shakes out. The conversation, as we know, is going to be dominated by the quarterbacks, but you got to realize there are holes all over the place. Even if we solve the quarterback and think we've got a good quarterback for this season, that quarterback's going to have some people to throw the ball to and an offense that they can jump into that'll move the ball.
How about this? One move that I would like to see the Browns make is trade one of these quarterbacks. I don't think that you could cut Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Shador Sanders, or Dylan Gabriel in hopes that you could then put that guy on the practice squad. Any of those guys that I just named would get claimed if they were released. I think what's going to happen here is we're going to have a preseason competition. We're going to divvy up these preseason snaps the best way that we can, and somebody's getting traded to give us a clearer picture of what the quarterback room will look like.
The NFL schedule is going to be announced next week on the 14th. I want the Browns to face blank in week 1.
How about Tennessee? Give us Cam Ward in that very first game. I think that would be interesting if it shakes out that way. Who knows the way that it goes, but Tennessee would be my pick. There's a lot of difficult teams, even though we're playing kind of a lesser schedule because we finished so badly with 3 wins last season. I look at this schedule, Nick, and there are no gimmies on here at all. And if you're the Browns, you don't expect that many gimmies, but I think this thing stacks up pretty tough next year.
I'm a little bit different. I would rather that Titans game be late in this season because I want to have a hope that game is Cam Ward versus Shador Sanders. I think that would be a ton of fun. You thought that was going to be number 1, number 2 in the NFL draft. It turns out to be number 1 versus number 144 would be a bizarre storyline late in the season. I don't know. Give me one of the AFC North teams off the rip. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. That's the way that these things used to be done, is you would start the season with an AFC North opponent. You would close the season with an AFC North opponent. I would love to start this season with either one of the Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals, or Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe a good measuring stick to see what this Brown season's going to look like.
We'll see you next week on Big Play Cleveland. Just want to give a big shout out to our friends again at Pure AV. Be sure to check them out at pureavcorp.com.